What's the crack? What's the bleeding story, people? Get your pen and papers ready. We're about to... What's the crack, people? Friday night, Friday afternoon. Hope yous are all doing well. Since Warren, you're directly underneath me. What's the bleeding story, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I've had a busy day. Been working on my thing that I'm doing for Diesel on Tuesday. So, yeah, I'm going on his channel on Tuesday to talk about ghosts and stuff like that. So I've been doing loads of work on that. So, yeah, it's been a good day.
That's been brilliant. And your streams during the week have been really good. And I really enjoyed the stream that me and you done the other night. This is your life of Dell. It was fucking brilliant. I loved it, mate.
It was wild, mate. I really enjoyed it. I can't believe we went on for nearly 3.5 hours.
Look, me and you talk some amount of shite. Jez, what's the story, mate? How are you doing? How are you after your Chapman experience? I'll tell you, I was educated. My head was swelled. It was after it. Fair play to you. It was real good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was something I wanted to leave to a little bit later. I mean, I will be covering it in the Arsenal history part. Not so much about him, but his bit at Arsenal. What I had quite a few people ask me to do a thing about Herbert Chapman, so I thought, yeah, okay, I will. So I thought I'd go from how he was a pretty unsuccessful player, how he moved through, like at Leeds City, Northampton Town, how he played for Tottenham Hotspur, eventually came to Arsenal, and his relationship there and what happened, and how he basically redesigned how modern football was played. And Warren very kindly, about half an hour ago, sent me a great picture of that Arsenal team's basic setup, the WM. Wish I could have had that and shown that last night, but yeah. So Warren, thanks for that, mate. That would have been brilliant if I could have had that on the screen. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, and it still is there today. You look at any football formation that any team plays today, it's based around that WM.
Yeah. Like even when you were saying about the counter attack and stuff like that, that basically he invented that. Like I was just there. That is like how clever it is to do. Like it's just mind blowing. You know. I'm just and look, and that's what I keep telling everyone that like, you know, Warren puts up these slides for me and he does all this work. So please check out Warren's Team Talk. The link and all is in the description. You can see the thingy-majig, whatever you call it, down below. Subscribe to Warren and Jez's channel. And as it says, Jez's channel, if you want to be a true gunner, like, you know, these guys here underneath me will educate you. You know what I mean? And this is why I love it. This is my favorite thing to do on YouTube, is to talk to you guys, to Kenny and other guests as well that have so much knowledge of the club and of football in general. It's brilliant. I'm just going to hit a few true comments here because there's a lot in at the minute. Karen, what's the story, man? How are you, mate? Good evening, Del Boy, and everyone in the chat. Good evening to you. Good evening, Jez and Warren. Del Boy, Craig Malloy, good man. What's the story, bud? Hope you're doing well. Manny's in the house. Big up, Carney and Craig. Yeah, big up to you, Manny. Glad I'm on time. Fair play to you. Yeah, and the guys are just saying hello. Del Boy on Shaka mode. Hold on, I'm not yet, Craig. Now I am, yeah. I might do it for the rest of the stream. I'm only messing. Jeez, I can't see a thing.
More like Bono, mate, with those glasses.
Bono. Craig, what's the story, man? How are you, mate? Lenny, what's the story, Lenny? Fair play to you. Thanks for tuning in. Big up Del Boy and the panel. Huge respect. Fair play to you. Huge respect for you. You're always tuning in and laying comments. Fair play. Del, good evening to see you and the panel tonight. That's it. And everyone's just saying, oh, yeah, Abjeed, what's the story? Good day, lads. Good day to you. And I'm just trying to catch up real quick. Everyone else. James, what's the story? Thumbs up. Thanks a million, mate. Taib's in the house. Del Boy, Warren, Jez. That's it. Taib. Carl Rossi's in the gaff. Oh, the legends are in the gaff tonight, I'll tell you. We're bleeding wrecking the house. One was a racehorse. 2-2-1-2. Oh, Jesus Christ, Aid. 1-1-1-1 race. 2-2-1-1-2. Ah, for fuck's sake. I'm not doing any of that shit again, Aid. Fucking hell. Cheeky, thumbs up. Do you mind if I come on? Come here. Do you know what? I'll try. I haven't the link to the stream. I usually, because I'm doing this on my phone, mate. I'll see what I can work out through this. If you want to be a true gunner, you have to be Arteta in. This is what these people are saying. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. Alicia, what's the story? Big up, guys. Big up to you, Noah. Big up, Del Boy, mate, and the gang. Games FC. Big up, Del Boy. And the legends, big up yourself. Right, I'm caught up. Let's get to it. Right, we finished off last week, the final First Division table, 19th of May, 1980. I was still hanging around me dad at the minute because I wasn't born until 1983, so whatever you want to say. We won't go into detail there. But yes, look, I'll start with you, Warren, since you got all this stuff together. Liverpool. Deserving champions to you, I suppose, if you can sort of remember even last week, 60 points, 2 points ahead of United. Ipswich Town, for me, was the big surprise. I didn't realise they were that sort of good, to finish in third. But we got fourth. Top four, baby. Top four. That's all we wanted. What do you reckon? Warren?
I think they were, because at that time they were absolutely relentless. They were winning title after title. I remember once it was either Bill Shankly or Bob Paisley got interviewed, and they were questioning him about the UEFA Cup, and he said, "Listen, we never finished low enough to go in the UEFA Cup, so I can't really talk about it." Yes. And in order to qualify for the UEFA Cup, you had to finish second or below. So, do you know what I mean? So that just sums it up for me. Do you remember that comment, Jez?
Yeah, wasn't it? That was Bob Paisley, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Bob Paisley that said it. We never finished low enough to go into it. But yeah, I think they were. They were just that unbelievable during the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
They really were. If they didn't win it, they would be second or, right up there. It was just ridiculous. It really was.
Yeah. That's a good comment there. 8 points between first and fourth. That's a proper season.
And it was 2 points for a win at that stage as well. It wasn't like it's 3 points for a win.
When did that come in, the 3 points?
91, I think. Might be wrong in saying that.
Yeah, Jesus, because what was it? Still 1 point for the draw?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Imagine that Arteta be playing for a draw all day, bleeding long.
Well, that was the problem. That's why they introduced the 3 points because teams were happy to settle for a draw because you could get as much from a couple of draws as you could from a couple of wins, almost. But so it was done as a way to encourage attacking play. That was why they brought it in, because too many sides were being too negative.
Yeah, thankfully they did, because Jesus Christ, imagine the state of football now if they didn't. See the way I'm just jumping there to Forest, I suppose, underneath us. Were they not sort of big back then, or was it when were they European champ? Were they back in the 70s, was it?
Yeah.
So they became European champions. Was it 78? Wasn't it?
Malmo, wasn't it? 1-0 to Malmo. They beat Malmo 1-0, didn't they?
Yeah.
And didn't they beat Cologne the following season?
That's right. Yeah, it was Cologne or Hamburg or someone they beat in the final the following season.
Sorry, somebody like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they won it 2 years running.
Yeah.
Under Brian Clough and Peter Taylor, Nottingham Forest were an amazing setup. Unbelievable. With some of the players they had as well.
Yeah. Like I seen the Damned United. Like what? I suppose was that late 70s, or when did he go to Leeds?
74.
74. Yeah.
He didn't do well though, did he?
Yeah, no, didn't work out for him, didn't it? Well, I suppose
he ruffled too many feathers when he went in there, because he had this big rivalry with Don Revie. He really didn't like Don Revie, and I remember him saying that he wanted to take everything that Don Revie had done and beat it. Yeah, and it was all about Don Revie and beating Don Revie, because he really didn't like Don Revie at all, and it was just it become an obsession with him.
Yeah,
you know.
I won't put Jez on the spot, but I'll ask the two of you this, and I actually remembered Noah put this, I think, last week, and I forgot to sort of read it out, so I wouldn't mind the both of you if you bounce off each other. Del Boy, question for Jez. I am so curious to know what went wrong in 94-95 season for Arsenal. Man caused something mad happened. Any of you elaborate on that? The 94, we were actually awful. 94-95 season.
That's it. Go on. Sorry, mate. Go on.
No. I was just going to go, like, is that up there with one of the worst seasons that I suppose that you guys have sort of lived through, or?
It wasn't a great season. It's not the worst. The worst season for me was back in probably 73 to 75. But that's the year we got him Bruce Rioch. Who's the manager? Was it Don Howe we had then as manager? Because Terry Neal, I'm trying to think now.
It was Terry Neal, then it was Don Howe.
And
George came in. And then George got sacked, and they brought in Stuart Houston, didn't they?
Yes, Stuart Houston. What was it? No, Bruce Rioch was there in 95, wasn't he? Because he signed Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah,
that's right.
And then we got Wenger in 96. But if I remember rightly, that particular season, there was a major bust-up with the board. And Don Howe was the manager and got sacked. Bruce Rioch came in. Basically, I mean, they brought, in my belief, with Bruce Rioch, they did what they did pretty much with Unai Emery. He was an interim. And it just didn't work out. And I think personally, what was going on there was that David Dean had already spoken with Arsene Wenger, and that when the season ended and he left Grand Passé, he came to Arsenal. But it wasn't a great season, to be fair. But I've seen worse. To be fair, I have seen worse in the 70s.
Yeah. Just a question there, Taib. Jez, which promoted side has kept the longest Premier League status? I'm going to answer this. Everton, is it? Probably wrong.
Premier League?
Yeah. Sorry, which promoted side has kept the longest Premier League status? Sorry, promoted. That's a different
side. Do you mean Premier League, or is he talking about First Division as well?
I think he means Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a question I actually don't know the answer to.
No, well, I know, is Everton not up there with the longest in the league? Like, you know what I mean? Is that not the way Everton and Arsenal, I think, or something?
Well, Arsenal are the longest.
Yeah.
Arsenal are the longest. I mean, Arsenal got re-elected in a very controversial fashion back to Division 1 and never been out of Division 1 Premier League ever since. So if you're asking that question, then that's Arsenal. If it's a team you're asking about that's been elected or promoted to the Premier League, Burnley. Could be Burnley. I don't know. I actually don't know. I actually do not know.
Yeah. I'd wonder if it was Burnley or Bolton Wanderers before they got relegated. Because they won it for a long time.
Bolton Wanderers, that's a good shout.
Yeah.
I mean, Everton have always been in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I don't think Everton have been relegated since the 50s.
That's right, they haven't.
I think.
See, up until this season, they had behind Arsenal, they had the longest running reign in Tier 1 of English football, didn't they?
Yeah. I hope they don't get relegated.
No, I don't want them to get relegated.
Neither do I. But look, we'll go on. Right, so is there anything else that you want to just mention there before we get into the next slide?
No.
Nothing bounce out to. Where did... Oh, yeah, United, yeah. Fucked up. Don't want to talk about United.
The interesting thing about this season, I've always found, it was Brighton and Hove Albion's first experience of Division 1. But in this particular season, we played them so many times in cup competitions. It was, for an up-and-coming team, it was madness.
Yeah.
We'll come on to that in a bit, I dare say.
We beat them 13-0 in total across all the games, didn't we?
Yeah.
Right, let's get into it. Arsenal 1979-80 season in cup football. So we're going to hit this there. Nice jersey, by the way. I love that jersey. Look, we'll go to the next one. So here we go. FA Charity Shield. The Charity Shield. Is it a cup? Is it not a cup? Or is it important or what? Actually, how do you guys feel about that?
I think so. I mean, back then, when it called the Community Shield? What's that now? I can't remember.
It's called the Community Shield now. I think then it was called the Charity Shield.
Yeah, you're right. No, you are correct. Totally correct, mate. Well, yeah, I think it's good because it is all done for charity or community, how you want to break it down. And Arsenal won it quite a few times. And back in time, I remember games when if it never went to teams would share it. If it ended up 0-0 after the game, an extra time, it was shared, and each team would hold it for 6 months. I don't know if that happens now. I'm not sure, but that's how it always was. I used to enjoy it.
I think it goes to a penalty shootout now if it's level.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because that's how we beat Liverpool the other year, innit?
Yeah. You're right.
We got thumped in that game.
Just, I suppose, a question for everyone, like even in the chat or whatever. Like, has Liverpool always had that crest? Like, you know what I mean? Because we're just commercialized now, or when did they change it or whatever?
No, they've had quite a few different crests. Going back down the years. I mean, at one point, it was just LFC. It wasn't always like it is in that picture there. If you go onto Google and you say this particular club you want to find out about, if you type in, say, Arsenal crests or history of Arsenal crests, there's this site, and what they do is they will show you every single crest that a club has had, and then the dates between when they had them, which is quite interesting because Leeds are another one. Leeds have had loads of different crests, going back,
I know exactly. I was actually looking at something last night, and it was FA Cup winners from the very, very beginning and all the way up, and it was doing it like in a graph form, and like it's quality. And Wanderers FC, they're still up there in something like the top 15 winners. Like they've won 5. Arsenal obviously forced, United, But Wanderers. I was just sort of looking at them. They bounced straight up into the top. And as the years were going by, they gradually were moving down. And I just wanted them to stay in the top 15 or something. They actually did. It's actually very good. Just read out there, Darren. I remember that game as a kid, was playing on an estate, listening on the radio near Highbury. There you are. That's class. And
I've just had a thought. I've been rattling my little brain here about the 94, 95. It was the year Jules Graham got sacked for illegal money, something or others going down, and he got banned from football, didn't he? Yeah. Don Howe took over. Didn't he? Then Bruce Rioch came in, 95, 96 for a very short period. Then that's when Arsene Wenger came in.
But like with Bruce Rioch, was he managing at another club at the time, or was he sort of backroom staff sort of thingy, or like where?
He came in. I can't remember where he came from.
Yeah, I'm actually going to check that out myself. But yeah, I don't know.
Was he at Bolton Wanderers? I've got this thing in my head that he was at Bolton, Jez. I don't know why.
I honestly, mate, don't know. I honestly don't know.
Oh, well, look, nose green with you, Jez.
Yeah.
I knew there
was something.
Yeah. So 3-1. We just see the scorers there: McDermott, Dalglish, McDermott, and Sunderland. He was a fairly good player, wasn't he, McDermott?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like he'd be. I suppose, like Joe, do you guys think, is it a sort of a marker for the season, the Charity Shield? Like, or is it just a one-off game? What do you guys think, Warren? I'll sort of go with you with that. What do you like? Even to today's game, like, is it a statement? Is it just a fucking?
I think it can be, but I think it depends on the teams, because you can, like, that game, if we'd beaten them in this game, it could have, like, really boosted up the team and then led us on a charge at the beginning of the season. But then, because they slapped us, and it was a very easy, I remember it being I don't remember much about the game, but I remember that I think it was quite an easy win for them. And that it sort of like said to us, you don't think you have any illusions that you're going to win the title. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think it could do. But I think nowadays it's just seen as another pre-season friendly by a lot of clubs. Yeah, I really do.
I think that as well. Like, because anytime, like, let's say if Arsenal's won it, who cares about that cut? Like, and I'm there. Well, I always thought it was sort of a nice little statement, especially I suppose in the, if it was United and Arsenal, it was always back in the Wenger era when Arsenal were, like, big rivals to United. It was always good to get one over on them, and it was a good way to start the season. But I suppose just as it goes on in years, I think it's losing its value, unfortunately. I may be wrong.
But the thing is, right, there's a trophy at stake.
Yeah.
Right? Players get like a miniature version of the Shield. And it's also played at the National Stadium and at Wembley Stadium. And, it was years ago, it was a big thing to go to Wembley. It wasn't like everyone that got to play at Wembley in a cup final or whatever. And it was a big deal to go to Wembley and for supporters as well to go and see your team play at Wembley and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's still the same. I mean, because the FA Cup, it's not the same anymore.
No, it's not, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll go to the next slide and we'll just see what pops up here. So FA Cup Charity Shield, Arsenal 1, Liverpool 3. That's the game that started. Right, O'Leary, my man at the back, Walford, Jennings in goal, Rice captain, Nielsen, Chippy Brady on the left, Warren in the middle, or I mean Brian Talbot in the middle. he loves a Brian Talbot. Warren does. Price, Ricks, Sunderland, and Stapleton. Jez, I'll go to you. How does that team look to you? Strong.
They were a great team. I mean, the potential they showed in the upcoming season was outstanding. I mean, Brian Talbot, who we'd bought in 78 from Ipswich. I mean, you had a great midfield there. Liam Brady, Brian Talbot, David Price, and Graham Ricks. And then you had two great goal scorers up front in Alan Sunderland and Frank Stapleton. The weakest part of it, in my book, was Steve Walford. But he was always targeted in that season. Sammy Nelson, David O'Leary, Pat Rice. I mean, Pat Rice was a seasoned professional at this point, but his time was coming to the end. So that right side was always the weak link in my book, but they were a great team, and they went on to prove it in that season. To be fair, I mean, let's get it right. The manager Terry Neal took Arsenal to 3 consecutive FA Cup finals. It was the first time it had ever happened. All right, we only won one of them, but it was the first time it had ever been done. So you have to credit Terry Neal for that. So unfortunately, I don't think Steve Walford was the greatest central defender. Pat Rice was coming to the end, and that right side was always targeted.
Yeah. Warren, what do you make of Jez's comments? Would you?
Yeah, I completely agree with him. Do you know why Willie Young didn't play in that game, Jez?
I don't, mate. I don't know.
No. But one player that I've always had a thing about was David Price. I really liked him. I didn't like him as much as Brian Talbot, but I thought David Price was very underrated.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. He was, when he played central defender, he was tall, he was strong, bit Adams-esque, to be fair, but totally underrated by the fact of he never really went on to kick on. And yeah, as Darren Sullivan says, he scored goals.
Yeah.
So, quite correct. And I think he should get more accreditation than he actually gets as being an Arsenal player, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, was there anyone else that could have played there? See, on the subs bench, Baron Young, Getting, Hollands. Hollands did he play sort of centre half through the season, I think, as well? Did he? No? Midfield, was it?
Midfield player.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we signed him from Chelsea. He was a midfield player. But Young's on the bench. That's why I don't understand why Young didn't play, because he's sitting there on the bench. Maybe he was carrying an injury or something. I don't know.
Hadn't we only just recently signed him, though?
No, because we signed him about 76, something like that, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you are right. I'm thinking of someone else. Yeah. No, it's Yeah, no, you're correct, mate. Warren, you're quite correct. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why he didn't play. I don't know.
Like I'd say, like even I suppose just for Terry Neal, would he have gotten the chance the way Arteta's getting the chance now? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like what the fuck is going on? Basically, I'm just confused. You know,
Well,
like
he did. But the difference back in them days was the fan base was far more local and far more vocal. I mean, I can remember going up to Islington Town Hall with my granddad on the protest to get him out. I can remember that, and you won't get that now because the fan base nowadays is so distributed. Can I put it that way? Back in time, I've said this so many times. Back in those days, without the fact you had the amount of TV coverage, you didn't have any social media or anything like that. So if you lived in the area of Highbury, you supported Arsenal. If you lived around White Hart Lane area, you supported Tottenham. If you lived around that part of Liverpool, where Liverpool was, you supported Liverpool, Everton, Man United, Man City. You didn't get Man United, Liverpool supporters in Newcastle.
Yeah, like we like to this day, right, in Gaelic games, okay, Gaelic football and Gaelic hurling, it's like, as I say, I'm from Roscommon. I live in Dublin. I support Roscommon. I'm longer living in Dublin than I was down in Roscommon, but I support Roscommon no matter what. It's just that's the way it is, and that's not just me. It's everyone in Ireland. Wherever you were born, wherever you're from, that's who you support. It's not, oh well, I like Dublin because Dublin are after winning 5, 6 All Irelands in a row. No, you'd get a fucking slap in the fucking ear from your outfit if you saw, you're from a different county and you came in and said that, But yeah, no, I get completely what you're saying, Warren. Or sorry, Jez. We'll go to the next slide, and Warren. Or is there anything else you guys wanted to say? Or
no. So this is the Cup campaign.
Right. So there we are. So we have Leeds second round, first leg. So there was 2 legs, was there? Like back in the, I suppose, second round.
Yeah, it's a replay, wasn't it?
Was it? Ah, right. Okay. Result draw 1-1. Frank Stapleton. What is that? A misprint? 7-0.
No, it's not. It actually happened.
What?
That's the highest. Still, that is still a record for Arsenal in the League Cup.
Jesus Christ. Nelson Brady, 2 penalties, was there?
Yeah.
I suppose. Oh yeah, it's Leeds. Leeds back then. Sunderland 3. Stapleton. Stapleton seems like he was getting a few goals, all right.
Oh yeah.
He was a good striker, mate. Definitely.
Like, what year did he leave Arsenal?
For the season, wasn't it?
I think it was this one or the year after. No, I think he left this. I think him and Chippy left the same year.
Yeah, he went to Man United, and old Chippy went to
the old lady, Juventus.
Yeah.
But like, do you know what?
That game, the Leeds Arsenal game, not the one at Ellen Road, but the one at Highbury when we won 7-0. It was mad. Honestly, it was one that, till this day, I still think it's one of Arsenal's best performances. They were absolutely superb. I mean, it literally, like, it was like we were scoring a goal every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's not right. Look at that program. Can you see the error with the program, Jez?
The what, mate?
The error with that program. Look at the program.
Hang on, I've put my glasses on.
There's an error with the program. I've just noticed. Not
Yeah. Is that Tuesday? Hang on, I'm looking down here. Tuesday. What's it?
It's the cup. It's the FA Cup, and it's a League Cup match.
Yeah. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you get it off one of your programs?
No, I got it an image off Google.
Yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah, it's the FA Cup.
Yeah. We're just looking at the program, Del Boy, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here.
The program's for the League Cup, right? It's the front cover of the program from the match. And on it, down the bottom, it's got all the date and who the opponents were, what the competition was. And then it's got a picture of the FA Cup. But it wasn't. It was a League Cup game.
I want my money back.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was an incredible game. And like,
do you not think though? Has that not been clipped?
Possibly. It might have been. Someone might have.
Because I've actually got that program, and I will have to go and dig it out and have a look. God knows, I know it's up in the loft somewhere. I'm just wondering if that's been clipped because I'll tell you for why I'm thinking that is because the badge at the top wouldn't have been like that. It wasn't in black and what it wasn't in black. Anyway, don't matter. Yeah, don't matter.
Yeah. I'm just reading out Darren's comment there. I remember on the cup final day, Brady's wife was interviewed and he hadn't made up his mind if he wanted to leave or not. Warren, how did you feel when Brady left? How?
I was devastated because I remember I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I remember the last day of the season, he came up to the North Bank and he was waving to us and clapping us and stuff like that. I remember my dad saying to me, he's going. He's going. He wouldn't be doing that unless he thought he was going. And I remember, I'm sure I could see him crying as well. He had tears in his eyes when he came up to us, and that just started me off as well. I was absolutely devastated because he was such a key member of that team. He was almost like the heartbeat of the team. And after he left, we were nowhere near the same team. Well, I don't think we were anyway.
Jez, I'll come to you, mate.
No, I totally endorse what Warren said. Yeah, I was at the game and I had a feeling he was going to go a couple of games before that. And you're quite right in what you say that he was Arsenal's midfield general. He at the time was very much the Vieira of that particular time. And the moment he left, the following season, the Arsenal midfield was nothing like it had been for the years previously. I mean, what he could do with the football was just unbelievable. I've said it on a couple of streams that there was one particular game and it was an evening game and wasn't this season. I think it was a season 77, something like that. And he was going down the left, cut in, just 5 yards outside the penalty box. And he was taking the shot towards the North Bank. And he curled this ball like none of us had ever seen this done like that before in our lives. And the ball went in top right corner. And everybody was dumbfounded for about 2 or 3 seconds. Then the whole place erupted. It was just phenomenal. Just an unbelievable goal. And I actually will say to this day, I actually think he was a bit shocked himself. because this isn't playing with one of these modern plastic footballs we have now. Yeah, this is still back in the time when the footballs had modernised from the old lace-up leathers, but they were still leather. So, you know, it took something to knock a ball and spin it like he did. And he was just incredible. You can see why Juve wanted him. But, yeah, that day, you knew he was going. And it was a great shame for Arsenal Football Club. I don't understand why Arsenal didn't try and keep him, to be fair.
Well, that sort of leads me into Finbar's question here, I suppose. Does anyone know? Was it Brady's decision, or like what was it at the time? Can you remember?
It was money. Juventus were offering silly money.
How much did we get for him, Jez? Do you know?
It's over. I can't remember the exact figure, but what he was going to get offered weekly was about 2/3 more than Arsenal were paying. So, and I also would say this: at this point in time, Arsenal were on the down leg. You know, doing a bit of this. So I think he, in his own way, wanted to move on because don't forget this season we'd gone into the Cup Winners' Cup and we lost. And I think Juve at the time were a big name. And were achieving European success. And I think that may have swayed and turned his head a little bit. That's what he wanted to achieve. I don't know. But they were certainly offering a lot more money than Arsenal were.
But like, I suppose the thing that I have to ask is like if he's I suppose it's easier said than like, you know, if he's your top player, if the fans idolise him, if you know, why the fuck do you not just try and throw everything at him to keep him to stay? You know,
because
but it also, I'll just cut in there if I may.
Go on.
You also had Frank Stapleton, top class striker, and we lost him the same season.
Mm.
So this is a bit like Arsenal repeat. Arsenal don't like to spend the money, and it's been like that through history. I mean, when I was chatting last night about the Chapman era, when he first joined Arsenal, the chairman at the time gave him an instruction of not to spend too much money. And it's gone on and on and on and on in history. And we'll probably dare I say this, we'll probably see it this summer. We'll go out, we'll buy a couple of average players. You know, all this bullshit we hear from Edu, we're going to get 2 marquee signings. And here we are looking at Rashford today. But anyway,
don't be fucking messing me. Are you serious?
Another discussion. That's another discussion. But it's always been the same at Arsenal. I mean, when we signed Malcolm McDonald, I remember him being signed, and we signed him for I think £1 million. And Arsenal, I think, were choking at the bit of paying that money. So it's the Arsenal way, people. The Arsenal way.
Yeah. Like, you know, they take 1 step forward and 2 steps back, as they say. Like, you know, and the big thing, like the class of the club in '89 when they brought the flowers out to all the Liverpool supporters, and that's just class. And then exactly what you're saying there, Jez. It's just, you know, what the fuck? Like, let's start being classy and continue it. Like, you know what I mean? And be a bit rootless as well. Like, you know. And we'll just go to the next slide there. See what pops up. So the 7-0 victory against Leeds at home. Jennings, O'Leary, Young, there you are there. Nelson on the left, Rice on the right. Brady, Talbot, Hollands, Ricks, Sunderland, Stapleton. Right, so he's replaced what you call your man, gone out of my head there. for Young.
Willie Young?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Young and Hollins is out. Was Price there in the midfield for the Charity Shield?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So, Price is on the subs bench back then. So was there only one person on the subs bench?
For a league game, yeah.
Yeah.
And European games, you'd have 5 people on the bench, but you was only allowed to use one of them or 2 of them, I think.
2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So how hard was it for managers back then, really, when you think about it? You know what I mean?
Very hard, I think, because if you got a player get injured and you've only got one sub, now think about it. Let's say in this occasion, Alan Sunderland gets injured. He's got to put David Price up there, totally out of position, or he's got to have a major game plan to change it about to bring the structure back to the team. So it was very, very difficult.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. It's crazy, like, you know, when to think about it, like, you know what I mean? And, like, I wouldn't dare to think how Arteta would get on back then with his instructions flying up and down the line. And, you know, when I was watching the Man United match the other day, Man United mate of mine, he texted me, excuse me, and he just says, Del, does Arteta sit down at all? He goes, because all he's just doing is walking up and down the line screaming at his players. He goes, I've never seen a manager in the Premier League do that. And I says, no, he doesn't. He's always giving his instructions out all the time, you know. Was there any managers that you guys can think about was sort of as animated as Arteta?
Barry Fry.
Oh, yeah, Barry Fry.
Oh, Barry Fry, is that?
Yeah, he used to run up and down the touchline all the time, and particularly when his team scored a goal, he would be running up and down the touchline like this with his arms going and whatnot. It was hilarious.
Was he the guy that owned Peterborough or something like that?
Yeah, that's it.
Ah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
But he wasn't. He wasn't standing there like waving his arms around like that. Like Arteta does. I don't think I've ever seen a manager doing it. I don't know where he gets it from. Honestly, I'm sitting here trying to think of another manager that in the past that used to do that, and I just can't. I can't think of one. I don't know if you can, Jez, but I can't.
No, I can't. To be honest. And the fact is, all he does, it just cause absolute confusion and nonsense. I don't think the players have a clue what he's talking about.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got an interesting story about it, Jez, and it relates to Ainsley Maitland-Niles. A good friend of mine, she's a Liverpool fan, and her son supports Arsenal. And they got tickets for the Wimbledon League Cup match this year, right? And she was sat right near the bench, right? So she was sat quite near to Bukayo Saka and all the other lads that were like on the bench. And she said that Arteta was there waving his arms around and shouting at the players, and him and Ainsley had like almost had a stand-up row because he was shouting at Ainsley, and Ainsley was going, well, yeah, but what do you want? What is it that you want me to do? I'm doing it. What's the matter with you? Like this. And she said it was really embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, people were sitting there like not knowing where to put their face because it was so embarrassing the way he was carrying on.
Well, he does absolutely bullies and berates players. I told you when I was at Brighton, the away game last year. It was a bloody awful day. It's pissing down with rain, freezing bloody cold. And he's up and down out there. And you've got Graham Potter. You can see Graham Potter sat on his bench looking at Arteta. You can see him thinking, what the hell are you doing? And Thomas Partey was on the wing. And there was one point in that game where he's come up the wing and Arteta's giving it all this and all that, and this is where my favourite thing came in about landing planes at Gatwick Airport. It's that Partey stops. He hasn't got the ball, admittedly. He stops. You can see him look at him going like that. And you can see the guy doesn't know what the hell he is talking about. Arteta's giving it all this, all that, and, all that, all that. Yeah. And you can see the guys thinking, you're a complete fucking idiot. And I think this is one of the biggest problems with this team and Arteta. He's a bully. He's too arrogant. He disrespects players. And I clearly think that with Pepe. But we won't talk about that now because we're talking about another topic. But I honestly believe he is the biggest bloody problem at Arsenal Football Club. And all these people that keep coming out of the woodwork every time Arsenal win, you don't hear about them. You don't hear anything from them. When Arsenal lost 3 games on the bounce, they all went back into their little back rooms, closed the curtains and got under their duvets and cried. But as soon as Arsenal win, out they come, oh, he's the best thing in the world, da, 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 da. Well, let's wait and see. Because I actually think, and I'll make this prediction, Arsenal will get top 4. And by God, will we have the shit kicked out of us in Europe.
Yes, I've got this feeling that we're going to get in the Champions League and we're going to end up in a group with Bayern Munich and Villarreal. I can see it coming.
Yeah. This is a good question from Taib, actually. Did teams back in the day play one formation or did managers switch it around?
Warren?
I think it would depend on the manager.
Like what like even during the game, like did they change formation because let's say, we're 2-0 up, right, let's throw another person back in defence or something like that. Like, you know what I mean?
I think it's more a case that they would employ a different strategy. So they might have a 4-4-2, but it would be an attacking 4-4-2. But then if they were 2-0 up or 3-0 up, they might say, okay, let's just sit on the lead and let's not go forward so much. So they might sort of just sit back more. I don't know whether they would like, because they wouldn't have the personnel, they wouldn't be able to make the substitutions back then.
Yeah.
Like they can now to be able to switch it around. So they probably stick with the same formation, but just have a different mentality in the game. So they'd be going, right, what we got, we'll hold and not be so attacking as what we've been in up until this point, and just hold what we've got. I think that's probably what would happen. But you'd certainly get changes in personnel from game to game. But it would definitely depend on the manager, because there were some managers who would always try and play the same 11, and then there'd be others that would just switch it around all the time. It would just depend on what they liked.
Yeah, it's like, because I suppose, like, I wonder, let's say now you're winning or whatever, and Price, he can play on the right, if I'm not mistaken, right sort of defence. Like, let's say if you take off Sunderland or something like that and put him back, let's say in defence, close it up a bit. I don't know. But yeah, look, we'll go to the next one anyway. See what
the other thing was as well, players then were a lot more versatile as well.
Yeah, I'd say they had to be
centre forward, and he'd be able to go back as a centre, an extra centre half, and he'd be comfortable with doing it. Because centre half is a really, really specialist position. You can't just throw anyone into it. Do you know what I mean? It's a difficult position to play.
Warren, can you just go back to that slide a minute? Right. Last night I was talking about how Herbert Chapman transformed the way modern football is played. And here is a classic example of the WM. There you can see Brady, Sunderland, Talbot, Stapleton, Hollins, Ricks, right? So you've got the WM, yeah? And back here, we've got Nelson, Talbot, O'Leary, Young, Hollins, Rice. And that, still to this day, is the fundamental setup that Herbert Chapman set up in modern day football. Now, one of the things that I remember that Terry Neal used to do was he would, at times, leave Stapleton in the middle, bring back Sunderland into a holding position here, and bring in Ricks and Brady tighter to the midfield. But he was still basically playing the same formation. I never really remember, Warren, unless you can, him playing around too much with the defence.
No.
I can't.
No, I can't.
I'll be very wrong. But
I always used to see him when I was a kid because I used to watch David O'Leary playing a lot. I used to watch him all through the game. And they'd always be stood on the line up until the halfway line. And then as the opposition started attacking, they'd come back.
Yeah.
You know. But no, I don't remember him playing about with the defence either.
But I still find it fascinating that 100 and something odd years later, modern football is still based around how Herbert Chapman set up the great Arsenal teams, and every other team ever since has followed that philosophy. That he decided to allow, his philosophy was to allow the defenders to be released from the penalty area, because back in time, all the defenders were in the penalty box. You didn't have wing backs like there are here. They were all in this penalty box. And he allowed them to express themselves and move forward. I just find that such a fascinating factor that he invented that, and every other part of world football went with it.
See, I just find it a massive compliment to him. And it just shows what a genius the fella was.
Absolutely. It changed. I said last night, he was accredited in 2013 as the 9th greatest footballer in the world, manager in world football. That's unbelievable.
Even Jez, like the way that you were saying about the counter-attack in football, like, you know, he not only done that, he invented the counter-attack, you know, and as well he had a bit of wheeler dealer about him, because I remember you saying that the meeting that they done, they were looking for the player, and he says, "Yeah, we just have tonics, let them have the gin and tonics." You know, that's class. You know, he wasn't only a manager; he's a wheeler dealer, and I'll tell you, he's gone up in my books big time, and that's because of listening to you guys. Look, we'll go to the next slide anyway, and as Taib, I'll let Taib lead us into this. Swindon bloody town. What the fuck happened here? Wow. So
we cup final all over again.
Oh, after extra time. Oh, right. Was any of you at the game, lads, or Swindon? Yeah.
I was 8 years of age. My first ever cup final.
Wow.
That game, I was listening to it at home on the radio. And at one point, we were 3-1 down. And then, it was a game where Liam Brady just oozed class. He was just, if it hadn't have been for him, it wouldn't have gone for extra time. Because we were like down and out, and he just got hold of the game by the scruff of the neck and said, "No, we're not losing this game." And he dominated the whole match, and he was absolutely outstanding. And he got the game back to 3-3, and then we lost it in extra time. They got a fourth one. So he must have gone in at the end of the game saying to him, "What the hell's the matter with you lot? I would get us back into this game and then you go and bloody throw it away." Because he was absolutely superb. You know?
Yeah.
I remember my dad we were listening to it on the radio. He got, through the course of the game, he smoked something like 40 cigarettes. No word of a lie. 40 bloody cigarettes. The next day, my mum went absolutely mental at him.
Oh, yeah. Like, how much would he smoke now with Arteta?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Bless him. Oh, dear.
This is a good one from Bargav. Did the fullbacks get the luxury to go forward back in the day, or is it just something allowed due to the increase of fitness?
Well, they did. They didn't go. It's not like, don't compare it with the likes of Tierney going that far forward. They would take the ball out of the box or out of the defence, and they would then pass it through the midfield. They didn't like get down into the opposition's corner area, but they were progressing to push out, push back. But yeah, I mean, you have to imagine the fitness back then wasn't anywhere near what it is today. I mean, I can remember so many times in the summer in games where players would go down with cramp. Very much, the iconic one of Charlie George in the 70-71 Cup final, went down with cramp. And players did, because they didn't have the diets that all these modern players have. They weren't as fit as they were then, because you've got to remember, a lot of these players back then liked a bit of a drink and they liked a bit of a smoke. So they're not like they were, a classic, iconic goalkeeper. Neville Southall, Everton, great goalkeeper, played for Wales. He used to smoke in the changing room.
Jesus Christ.
He used to have a puff of a cigarette before the game at half time. Well known for it. So, yeah, times have changed with fitness, diets, and all this and all that. But these fellas, they certainly weren't as fast, in my book. And it was a different time. It was a different game of football. I mean, these footballers we have the privilege of watching now, they're absolute athletes. I mean, they're in the gym every day. They've got gyms at home and blah, blah, blah. So they are peak fitness.
And just going into this game, is that Chris Kamara?
Yeah.
That scored.
It is, yeah.
How was he as a player, Warren? Can you sort of recall him?
I can vaguely remember him. I remember him being a centre-back. But other than that, I really can't remember him, because I think he was coming towards the end of his career by then.
But, yeah, because I always thought he played sort of midfield or up front or something like that.
I might be wrong.
But yeah, Liam Brady 2 goals and Talbot on as well. Yeah, so that's it. Out of the League Cup 5th round.
Yeah,
we still have cups to go, but
we've got a couple to go. Yeah,
or else is this the end of the stream? Is it? Because this time of the year is usually when we get out of stuff nowadays.
It was December. This was.
Yeah, we'll go to the next one. What awaits us? The FA Cup. Right. So Cardiff City. 0-0 draw at away, then go home 2-1. Sunderland 2 goals. Brighton home win 2-0. Nelson Talbot. Away, it just seems our away form we could never really fucking get the win. Was there? Did we have travel sickness or
I think this was the era of the 1 point for a draw, 2 for a win, and I think a lot of it was about, because it was like that a lot of sides had the philosophy that when you went away, you try and get a draw, and then you win your home games.
Right.
That was what the philosophy was. I think I might be wrong, but but we didn't. I think that was our Achilles heel this season. We didn't win enough games, but certainly in the league.
Yeah, and
but yeah, I don't know really. I mean, because
I'm just gonna sorry for cutting across you, Warren. No, I'm just sort of looking at the Liverpool game there. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Like, you know what I mean? 1, 2, 3, 4 games against them. We finally get the win. I'm surely you guys can sort of remember that. That games.
Yeah, it was mad.
Yeah, I mean, I missed. I think I'm correct in saying, Warren, that the second replay was back again at Villa Park.
That's right.
You got Hillsborough, Villa Park, Highfield Road. I might be wrong. I've got that in my mind. I don't know why. I went to the Hillsborough game. I didn't go to the second or the first replay, Villa Park. I'm sure the next one was at Villa Park. I'm sure. And I went to Coventry's Highfield Road, awful stadium. Bloody awful place to go and watch a game of football, that was. But the first game at Cardiff, which was at the old Ninian Park. Now, if you ever want to go to a dodgy game of football back in time to encounter the Bluebird fans, then that's a place to go, I can tell you. That is a proper rough area around there. Proper rough area. Walking down through there, it back in time, it was a very, very run-down area and a proper bad place to hang around. You wanted to get in and out there bloody quick, I can tell you. But I missed the first replay at Villa Park. But we're up against a tough team in Liverpool back then, and the fact that Brian Talbot pulled it off at the game at Highfield Road. One thing I will say about the 3 of them games I went to, they were all pretty boring games. They were so nip and tuck. You can see both teams didn't really want to express themselves, and it wasn't great entertainment. I'll put it that way. And of course, the West Ham game, Trevor Brooking with his header in the 12th, 30 minutes, something like that. I was there for that one, and it was a very disappointing day. Arsenal, they were the big favourites all day long against the West Ham team that was rocking up. Everybody was confident that Arsenal were going to do that one, but a bit like the Ipswich game, 77-78, I think it was. Arsenal really just didn't turn up that day. Simple as that.
Yeah. Warren, I'll come to you. What's your sort of take of the final against West Ham?
It's devastating, mate, because I was there. It was my first ever experience of being at Wembley Stadium for a cup final, and it was horrible. It was horrible because, we got to Wembley, we come out of the tube, the bloody place was swamped with West Ham fans. we're walking down Wembley Walk. There was me, my mate, and my dad, and we were getting taunted mercilessly by the West Ham fans. The banter they were giving us was just unbelievable. It wasn't like we never felt in danger, but they were just giving it to us big time. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, and then we got in, and there was the cup final hymn and all that stuff, and all the the presentation of the teams and to the Royal or whoever it was who was there. And then the game itself, like Jez said, we just didn't turn up. We just didn't play well at all. And then a couple of days before the game, there's some comedian come on the TV. He was a massive Arsenal fan. And they said to him, what do you think the score's going to be? And he said, 10-0 Arsenal.
Yeah.
Serious. He weren't joking. He was deadly serious. He said Arsenal will win 10-0. Because at the time, West Ham were a second division club.
Mm.
No way.
Yeah.
So it was a big shock, like.
Massive, huge. Everybody was like predicting 5-6-0. And I remember a guy that I used to work with. He was a West Ham fan, and he said, and he was going to the game as well. And he said, I'd hate to think what the score's going to be tomorrow. And I remember saying to him, don't think it's going to be that easy for Arsenal. He said, no, Christ. He said, come on. Look where I think they were halfway in Division 2 at the time. And he said, no. It's going to be a goal fest for Arsenal. Words to that effect. And how wrong was he? But I did say to him, it's a cup final, it ain't going to be like that. And Trevor Brooking, corner, slots one, and Arsenal never came back. That was it.
Willie Young nearly got sent off. Paul Allen was racing through on goal. And Willie Young did the only thing he could do, and he brought him down for a professional foul.
Yeah.
And I think that incident led to a rule change where they said that anything like that in the future is an immediate red card. Because it wasn't an immediate red card then, and he didn't get sent off. And to be fair, he probably should have done.
Oh, absolutely.
What did he do? To should have been sent off?
We just pulled the fella down. No attempt to play the ball whatsoever. He just
rugby tackled him, didn't
he? Yeah, exactly.
So here we are. Is this the fourth of the many draws? The 4 draws? Oh no, sorry.
That was the winning. That was the winning one when we beat them 1-0 at Highfield Road.
Mm.
And Brian Talbot there on the right with his arms up in the air after scoring the winning goal. And I think it was this game or one of the other ones when Brian Moore famously said, Alan Sunderland or someone benefits from a lucky bobble of the ball and then puts and scores for Arsenal. My dad went mental. He nearly put the TV through the bloody wall. He goes, how dare he? Happy lucky bubble of the ball. Oh, give him a lucky bubble of the ball. He went mad. Absolutely mad. It was crazy.
Did it?
I don't think it particularly. I don't think it actually. I think it was Alan Sunderland when he scored in because there was one game where we took the lead in one of the replays, and I think it was Alan Sunderland scored, and he scored within about 5 seconds of the game starting. And the ball, the ball was on the edge of the Liverpool penalty area, and it just sort of flew up and went into his possession, but it was. I don't think it was fluky or anything like that. I'm struggling to remember exactly what happened, but I remember Brian Moore's commentary, and he thought it was just incredibly lucky from the way he was talking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Jez, I'll come to you. Give us your take.
On that particular game, again,
Well,
it was...
The goal especially.
Oh, Brian Talbot. Well, the game itself, again, wasn't a great game. It was so nip and tuck. The ball, it was Sunderland, and Brian Talbot took it very, very well. I think it was Ray Clements was in goal, and he just completely and utterly misjudged that. And I wouldn't say it's a great goal. It was a sniffer's goal, if I put it that way. Brian Talbot, you could actually at some point sometimes say he was a little bit of a fox in the box, but it was the only opportunity, if I remember rightly, clear opportunity that Arsenal really had in that game. It was not a great pitch, I can tell you that. It was very bobbly. Coventry City's ground wasn't a great ground, to be fair. And you could see that throughout the match for both Arsenal and Liverpool. But it was one of those games that it could have gone either way. Arsenal got the lucky break, scored it. Pat Jennings, I believe, was in goal. I don't think it was Paul Barron. I'm sure it was Pat Jennings. And it was a pretty poor game. In actual fact, it was a header, wasn't it? It was it was a header. I'm getting confused with games now, I'll be honest with
you. Yeah, no, it was a header.
Yeah, it was a header. Yeah, he nodded it down. I remember now. I think the old brain's getting a bit old now. All these games, but yeah, it was a great game. That's all I can say. It was. Yeah, Darren's Sullivan. Yeah, it was a header. I do remember now, but yeah, it wasn't. None of those four games for that Liverpool semi-final were games to remember. They're not games to me that I would remember in any great love. Let's put it that way.
What I remember though, it was incredibly tense. All of them.
Yeah, they were.
I remember sitting there, right at the table. We had the table, right. Me and my dad. We had the thing from inside the program. It was out. All the tokens were cut up and ready. The glue was sat there ready to stick the tokens on the sheet. But then what I do remember is one of the games, I'm sure, the Arsenal fans started singing my favourite song, which was the good old Arsenal song. I absolutely love that song. I really, really wish that the players would come out to it now, like they used to years ago.
No, they come out to the Arteta song now, don't they?
Elvis Presley or something like that. But
I have to say, hold on a minute. I have to fucking say one thing to the two of you, and I don't put rules on my channels, right? That fucking song is not allowed to be mentioned anywhere near my streams or channel. I fucking hate it. And the reason why I fucking hate it is that it's shit. It's just like it could be for fucking Spurs. It could be for Man United. I don't know, but it's just shit. There's no rhythm to it. I'd be embarrassed to sing it because the lyrics don't match what you want to say. You know what I mean? Sorry, and I'm like what I mean to say is even if Arteta was winning the league and winning the Champions League, I still actually wouldn't sing the fucking song because I think it's fucking awful.
But no, I just love that Arsenal song, the good old Arsenal. I just think it's the best Arsenal song ever, and I really, really wish that they'd let them come out to it at the Emirates now.
Warren, are you going to do your proposed? I know we're out of it, but you were mentioning you're going to do like the old-fashioned FA Cup day thingy, Bob.
Yeah, I'm going to do it, Jez.
That'd be brilliant, man. I shall watch that. I shall absolutely watch that all day.
Yeah. So I'd like you on it, talking about your memories of FA Cup final day.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Arsenal, all of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, come on, man. No worry about that at all. I used to love that on BBC One and ITV. You'd have the helicopters, like you'd have the cameras at the hotel, and you'd see them on the buses going to the ground, all that. And it was an all-day affair, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it was great. I used to love it. Like, you know, you'd be sat there ready to go, sandwiches at the ready, drinks at the ready.
Yeah.
For when it all started, start about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and go through to about 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Like, I remember my sort of first FA Cup final, and it was the Spice Boys. That was my, take in it, because it like, as I always say, like, I didn't have the channels and stuff like that. We didn't have the BBC and ITV to watch the games, like, but I remember this was like, oh my God, it's like we're after getting a certain channel. I don't even want to mention the channel, cabled into our house, and there's clear picture, everything like that. And I remember the program started at like 10 in the morning, and I was there, fuck me, the game's not starting until 3, but I watched every minute of it, and I was gutted that Arsenal weren't in the final, like, you know what I mean? But it does. I can understand for you guys, like, it sucks you in the FA Cup, like, you know what I mean? It really does. Nowadays for me it's too commercialized, shit like that.
I agree with you. I do, but sadly now, and I find it unbelievably sad that fan bases, I'm not just talking about Arsenal, I'm talking about other clubs, do not rate the FA Cup. It's the oldest football trophy in the world.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree. Like, Jez, sorry to cut across you, mate. Like, when Arsenal went out to Norwich this year, you can go back and look at my streams, and I was so fucking angry. And I'll use them words. I was so fucking angry because it was like it was the week coming up to. Remember, we had Spurs as well, where we called it off with COVID and all this shite, and now the game is the biggest game in history of our club. Bullshit. But you know what I mean? And it was the time there was another game as well, but we had no midfielders, we know this and that. The club itself is disrespecting the FA Cup. Like, how has it come to that?
Yeah. See, it's the Champions League as well, because people put more importance on that. Qualifying for that. Yeah, the money. And I've been thinking for a few years now, I've been debating it in my head, whether they should get rid of the 4th place qualification for the Champions League and give that place to the FA Cup winners.
Yeah.
That's a great deal.
Because then it would make teams want to play for it.
Yeah.
It would
absolutely agree.
And it would stop all this nonsense of teams fielding weakened sides and whatnot, because they obviously care so much about qualifying for the Champions League.
But you know what as well, what that would do? That's an actual great point, because what it would do as well, can you imagine Wigan? Remember when they bet Man City? Like, and Wigan in the Champions League final. I know they'd get absolutely slapped around, but the money that would generate for that club would be unbelievable. And it would not be. It'd be so good for English football. You know what I mean? Other smaller teams getting a few quid from these, like, Champions League and stuff like that. It's a great point. I think anyway.
I'll tell you another thing, right? Well, I think really did major harm to the FA Cup. Do you remember Alex Ferguson wanted to bow out of the FA Cup at Man United because of how they were progressing in the Champions League?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That showed such disrespect for the FA Cup from one of, well, without a doubt, the biggest football club in my book, historically in the world, with their fan base internationally. I think that was absolutely disgusting that they tried to pull that off.
And there was a bit of uproar over it, but not as much as I thought it would.
But for a club like Man United to try and pull that off, I think it was disgusting.
Yeah,
disgusting.
And I suppose, Connor here, your mate Jez, sadly, my generation, the younger generation, don't respect the FA Cup enough as it should be.
No, they don't. Big up to Connor. Great young man.
I'm going to have a chat with you afterwards, Jez, and I'll give him a shout because I want to do one or two things and, have a chat with you after. But, yeah, spot on. I'll just read one or two of these. Spot on, Warren. For all the talk about Wenger, at least he cared about the FA Cup enough to win it 7 times. That's fair enough. Wigan v Barca. Oh Jesus, can you imagine? Then Wenger copied him. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, he's just sort of saying what Fergie said. Alex Ferguson put United out of the Worthington Cup before Jez. Can you remember that?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah, there you are. Look, we'll go to the next slide. So, semi-final, this is the team. Lovely. Jennings in goal. Devine, O'Leary, Young, Rice, Brady, Talbot, Price, Ricks, Sunderland, Stapleton. Jesus Christ, the amount of Irish there. Jez, can you remember Devine well?
Yeah, he was a great player.
He was good.
He was a stalwart player. Gave massive service to Arsenal. Yeah, I totally rated that fella. Absolutely. And the sub there, Paul Vasson. I mean, he did some great stuff at Arsenal. Let's get it right. A lot of people probably never heard of him, but he was an awesome player. John Devine. Yeah, he was a terrific player. All day.
Warren, what do you make of the team yourself? Price and Talbot in the middle,
Sorry, say that again, mate.
Price and Talbot in the middle. How was their sort of partnership in the middle?
I thought it was good. I mean, like Brian Talbot would have complemented any centre midfield pairing he was in with, because he did the amount of work he got through. He just did not stop running from the first minute to the last. His engine was unbelievable, and David Price was a really good player as well. Like I said earlier, was really underrated. He'd score a fair few goals as well, and I remember John Devine, and I remember him making his debut as well.
No way.
Yeah, I do. He was really, really good player. And Brady and Ricks, jeez. The two of them were so talented. I mean, obviously Brady was more talented than Ricks, but Ricks weren't no slouch. He wasn't. He was a fantastic player. And I remember the song that used to go up in the North Bank about Ricks being better than Hoddle. You remember that one, Jez?
Yeah. Not sure I agree with that, but there you go.
Exactly. But yeah, he was a top player, and I just think that David Price was underrated. He was a very, very good player.
Yeah. We'll go to the next one. West Ham, the final. Is that the actual program, do you reckon?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's deadly. Do you know what I've been looking at lately is badges, old Arsenal badges. There's some really cool ones, like, let's say like Arsenal, like, the Irish Supporters Club, the Dublin Supporters, Galway, Cork Supporters, like, and real old school. They're really cool, like, and I'd love to get my hands on them, but probably doubt I will. But anyway, 10th of May 1980, this is the goal. Trevin Brooken scored 1-0. We saw that. Well, I suppose, look, we sort of talked about it already. But anything you just want to say before we move on? Because we lost.
I'd rather forget it, to be fair.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it wasn't Arsenal's greatest day, that's for sure. It's a bit like the final from 2 years before against Ipswich. We just didn't perform.
Wow, and as you said, for, let's say, the latecomers or whatever, like, it's back then West Ham weren't the best team. They were in the second division, middle of the table. Arsenal should have won this game easy. We didn't. We lost 1-0. Next slide, please. Let's see the team. O'Leary, Young, Rice, Devine, Brady, Talbot, Price, Ricks, Sunderland. Pretty much the same enough team, isn't it? That won the game against Liverpool in the semi.
Yeah.
Just one of these bad days at the office.
It was. Just didn't turn up. The midfield that day for Arsenal was shocking. Absolutely shocking. I know, Warren. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's given out already.
I'm sorry. I've got to say it, man. Brian Talbot that day was absolutely pony. He was terrible. Terrible. If I was doing a player rating of him today, he would get 2 to 3. He was shocking.
Oh, Jesus. Jez, I can see him typing into the comments here. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
The bit Jez is right. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was shocking. But there's part of me thinking, why were we that bad? And there's a slide at the end that I've done that wasn't there the last time. It's about the amount of games that we played in April and May, and I'm just thinking, was it just getting to the point where it was getting too much?
Yeah,
it just took its toll on them. I don't know. I mean, because I'd like to see
games, Warren. We played so many games this season.
Yeah, exactly, and that's my point. And I would like to see what the records are for games played in a season by all clubs, not just us, like Liverpool, Manchester United, any club. I want to see where that season stacks up, because I dare say that we're not that far off the record amount of games played by any club in a season. Because it's 71 games. It's insane. That's nearly 2 seasons worth of games in one season. It's crazy.
Wow. That's unbelievable. Jez, Warren, comment for you. Sing the Ricks chant for us.
God, I can't even remember it. I remember there was a chant about, we all agree Rixie is better than Hoddle or something like that it was. I can't even remember it.
Well, it's probably better than the Arteta song, just put it that way.
Exactly.
It's Arsenal, the history and more. Out now. It should be in the description. It's definitely it should be definitely in the description. If it's not, it will be. Or I'll DM you, no problem at all. Cheap Pete's production. I really miss our Irish contingent. Yeah, Jesus, so do I. I tell you, we had abundance of it back then. We've nothing of it now, and there's not. Well, I think there's actually one Irish young fella in the academy. I was reading about him the other day, but yeah, look, he's only youth at the minute. Jez, do you want to add anything there before we move on from the final, or?
No, it was just a very, very poor performance. The only excuse I will give is that Arsenal didn't come out of the tunnel end changing room, and everybody says the winning team always comes out of the tunnel end changing room. So I blame it on that.
Yeah. As Darren even says there, we look knackered, and Warren, I suppose you're exactly right. I'd say we'll go to the next slide. The European into the Euros. Here we go. European Cup Winners' Cup campaign, 1979 to 1980. Fenerbahce, home, win result, score 2-0, Young Sunderland. Second leg, away, draw 0-0. Job done after the first game, I suppose, at home.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys ever go to any of these European games? And
I went to the home games.
Yeah.
I didn't go to any of the away games, to be fair.
Was it completely sort of a different atmosphere feeling, than, let's say, a cup game, FA Cup game, or do you know what I mean?
It was. No, it was like an everyday cup game, FA Cup, but the fact that you had fans from a foreign country gave it a bit of a spark. Can I say? I remember the home leg with the Fenerbahce fans. There was a bit of grief outside the clock end and all that going on. I never got to see it. I heard about it, but there you go. I never got to go to any of these away games, but it was a pretty special occasion, to be fair. The Magdeburg game, that was a bit of a nip and tuck. They were quite a decent team, actually, to be fair. They were quite a decent team. The Gothenburg game, well, that was just madness at home. Absolute madness. Absolutely destroyed them. The most notable one for me was the Juventus game. Sadly, I wasn't there because Arsenal were the first British team to beat Juventus away at this point in time. I'd love to have been there, but sadly I wasn't. So
yeah, because that's what I was actually doing there. I was trying to squint my eyes to look. Malborg, is it?
Magdeburg,
yeah.
Magdeburg. Where are they? The
German.
Sorry?
They were from East Germany.
Yeah.
As it was then,
yeah.
Gothenburg. I think I remember them playing. But were they playing in the early 80s, 90s?
Mm-hmm. We played them years and years later, I think, in the Champions League.
Champions
League. That's what I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
And Sven-Goran Eriksson was the manager, I think.
Ah.
That away game at Magdeburg had no Arsenal fans at it.
Really?
No.
Why was that, Jez?
It was in Eastern Europe.
Right.
And it was at the time where there was some conflictions going on that the fans would have to land at Tegel Airport in Berlin and get coached through Checkpoint Charlie in Berlin, which I actually have been through. I have been through there. as a school kid, and Eastern Germany refused access because there was various political ramifications going on. So there was no Arsenal fans at that game.
That's amazing. And
I
then
remember years ago when we played Spartak Moscow. It was a good few years before this, or was it after this? Might have been after this. We played Spartak Moscow away in the winter, right? And the Soviet fans were so cold, they started making fires on their terrace. They did. They got wood from somewhere and they started making fires on the terrace and were huddled around the fires.
Probably right.
Yeah, that would have been cold.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into this. Let's get into this here. We go to the next slide. Then we'll have a chat. 1-0 or 1-1 with Juventus.
Yeah. I was at that game, mate.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that.
I went there, and the North Bank that night. There was 51,000 people at that game, and it was rammed, absolutely rammed, because for some reason UEFA always used to make clubs lower their capacity for these games, these European games. I don't know why or how they would do it, but they did. And it was near enough capacity crowd, because like the capacity of Highbury then was 60,000, right? Because there was like obviously the terracing at North Bank and the clocking and whatnot. But yeah, there was 51,000 and it was rammed. And I remember this game, Marco Tardelli failed David O'Leary and nearly ended his career. And if it hadn't been for the fact that David O'Leary was wearing shin pads, Don Howe reckons Tardelli would have smashed David O'Leary's shin pads. Would have smashed his shins, and David O'Leary would never have played again.
That's my
sent off. He got rightly sent off. It was absolutely disgusting challenge.
So, like, were Juventus like that? Like, you know, were they a rough team back then, or what was it?
Now, the thing is, right, allegedly, I don't know if it's true or not, but Italian football could be very physical in those days.
Oh, yeah.
They certainly could mix it. Do you know what I mean? And they were, and in my opinion, they still are the master of the dark arts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, famously, in 1962, they played a World Cup game against Chile, right? And you can Google this, right? Because there's video footage of it. The Chile against Italy game. And there was about 3 or 4 players sent off from each team, right? And it was like some of the challenges that were going in would have been too rough for a rugby match, right? Mm. And police had to come on the pitch and take players off the pitch and stuff like that. It was absolute madness. And I think who was the commentator who come on? I can't remember the guy. I think it was Vine, David Vine, come on and said at the start of the game, you are about to see the most disgusting, despicable display of football that I have ever seen. And it was horrific. People were getting taken out at the chests and all sorts.
Fucking hell.
It was mad. Yeah, but they are the masters of the dark arts. They really are. And they could as well be very, very physical. They're not adverse to like doing stuff like that if they feel they need to. And Tardelli took O'Leary out, and I'm sure Don Howe went on record as saying that if O'Leary hadn't been wearing his shin pads, he would have ended his career.
Jesus. That's great. Like, and Tardelli was, he ended up becoming assistant manager of Ireland under Trapattoni.
Really?
Yeah, he was the assistant manager.
Blimey.
Yeah. But, like, how did the like, you know, if Juventus were like that back then, how did they sort of will O'Leary or will Brady to come and play for them? Like, with Brady being the player that he was, like, you know, he wasn't a let's say tough tackler. I may be wrong, but I thought he was a sort of graceful player.
Because they were winning titles, mate.
Simple as, yeah.
Yeah, they were winning titles. They were winning. They weren't in the European Cup that year, but when he went there, they won he won 2 league titles with them, and they were consistently winning titles and cups and stuff, which it wasn't happening at Arsenal. And I think that might have played a part in him going, because he wanted to win stuff, and because he deserved it, man. He should have been playing in a title-winning side, absolutely no doubt about it. And if they'd had the right players around him, he definitely would have won a title. If he was playing in George Graham's side or Arsene Wenger's side when he first arrived, he would have gone up another couple of levels. It would have been amazing.
I'll give this to you, and I suppose, look, we're going on about Brady, but look, come here, do you know what? It's my fucking channel. I'm Irish, and I want to talk about him. Would you fit it into the Invincibles?
Yeah. All day.
Wow. That just shows you the type of, like, you know, player he was. Like, you know, says everything, really, doesn't it?
He was an amazing player. You know, I mean, I've said this so many times. When he first came to Arsenal as a raw talent, the first time I ever saw him play, I thought, "God, this guy's a bit special." And quickly he found the love of the Arsenal fans, because some of the stuff he could do on the ball was like revolutionary. We'd never seen it before. You know, it was reminiscent of when Bergkamp came to Arsenal. Now, you know, time when Bergkamp came, you know, football had moved on in a big way. But back in time, when Brady first joined, he was an unbelievable player. And I would, without a doubt, put my money on the line and say, if he had come in as a young player under Wenger, he would have been phenomenal. Phenomenal. He was a great player under Terry Neal. Let's get it right. You know, in that period of time, probably in my book, taking out of the equation Frank Stapleton, who was awesome, he was without a doubt my favourite player. No question.
100%.
Yeah.
Listen, with him, I think in certain periods of time, you get players that are timeless. Like, you could pick them up and put them in any generation and they would stand out. Right? He was one. Maradona was another one. Probably Stanley Matthews would be another one. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And Bergkamp was another one. You can just pick them up and put them whatever time period you want, and they would be absolutely outstanding. And he was one of them. He was that good. Like, I'm not. What I want to know, though, Del Boy, is as an Irishman, right? Why do you think he never got as many caps for Ireland as what?
I think when Giles sort of came in to manage, don't think they sort of got on as well as, like, in the later years that they did. And then when Big Jack, he was coming towards the end of his career, and I think in Stuttgart, in '88, I don't think he fancied him going over. He was injured and stuff like that, and like, it just didn't work out for him. And I just think at the time, like, sort of just with my history that I know of the Irish sort of scene, it was just sort of unfortunate for him. Like, time, I'm talking about this time period that he was in, was very unlucky for him. Like, as you said, as you and Jez said there, like, if he was in the 2000 era, oh my God, like, if he was at the 2002 World Cup with Ireland, him, Roy Keane, you know what I mean? You had a young Damien Duff, Robbie Keane, Ireland could have done things 100%. But even back then, like, we had Kevin Moran, we'd, like, Stapleton, few good players. The Irish team, I just think they didn't have, like, the Irish team are like Arsenal. Let's, like, if I had to pick an international team that equals a club team, it's Ireland and Arsenal. Easily do it. Like last year, or the like, Ireland didn't qualify for the World Cup, didn't qualify for the Euros. Arsenal came 8th in the league. Arteta's still in the job. He's fucking loaning this player out, loaning that player out, and it just sums up Ireland. And I used to go, the worst time I've ever been supporting football is the last few years with the international team and my club team. It's just been fucking shit. At least with the fucking you guys, and I know, Jez, you're not mad into international football, but, like, at least you had, well, I hope England win today. We're not even in fucking competitions to win. We're just fucking shit.
Doesn't interest me at all, mate. I find it absolutely boring.
Yeah, it is.
I've no interest at all. Absolutely not. An actual fact, case in point, I actually, my home team is Wales, because my grandparents, my mum, are actually Welsh. So I've got no interest in England at all.
Jeez, that's mad.
I don't watch it. I watch World Cups. I won't lie to you. When the World Cup's on, I'll watch that because, you're going to see some of the best players on the planet. All this international break bollocks, I've got no interest in whatsoever. None. So I don't watch it. I'd rather go down the pub or go out for a meal with the wife. I don't even look at the results. I couldn't give a shit, and no time for it. Don't want to know about it. I'm unfortunately too focused on Arsenal. And my mates, friends of mine say, "No, you can't live Arsenal all the time." I said, "Why? Why can't I? I was born there, lived opposite, looking out my bedroom window at Highbury. So that's what it is for me. Simple as."
Warren, I'll go to you since we're talking international. Warren.
Yes, mate. Go on.
I'll just go to you there since we're talking international. Do you want to have a say?
What about international football?
Yeah, how do you find it?
I don't mind it. I mean, when I was a kid, I was brought up to support Scotland because of my dad. And his attitude towards football was that you have to support your local. You have to support your local because he was born and brought up in Dunfermline, or a little village just out of the main town of Dunfermline, right? And he could never understand this notion of people, and because he saw a lot of it when he came down to England, of fellas he worked with, the Liverpool fans, United fans, and whatnot. And we lived in Kent, and he couldn't get his head round it. And I remember one day this fella started, and he was a Man United fan, and they were having a chat about football. And he said to my dad, "Well, who do you support?" And he said, "I support Man United this, Man United that." My dad says, "Oh, I support Juventus, mate." He said, "Juventus? What do you support them for? You can't bloody go and see them." He said, "How many times do you go and see bloody Man United then?" Do you know what I mean? And that was his attitude. It's always you've got to support your local. You know,
Like I'm actually like that as well with my sons, because like I wear me like Roscommon, as I say, the part of the west of Ireland where I'm from. I have my jersey. I'd walk around Dublin and shit like that, and everyone's there. Who the fuck are they? Like, you know what I mean? Who's his Dale at? Like, you know what I mean? Who's he support? But my sons would be there. Get me one of them jersey, and I'm saying, no. You were born in Dublin. You're a dub. You have to earn the right to be from Roscommon, where I'm from. Do you know what I mean? Like, slagging them and all, but Dad, I'd like to support Roscommon. No. You're from Dublin. You were born and raised in Dublin. You know what I mean? So I'd be like your dad.
Yeah, no. So he came down here. He started supporting Arsenal after I told him I wanted to go and watch the Arsenal, because he came in. I had this thing on my wall where you could move these little stickers of football clubs up and down this league table thing. And he said to me, "You choose a team to go and watch." He said, "I'll take you." And I was about 3, 4, something like that. He said, "But make sure it's a team in London." He said, we can't be going up and down, halfway up and down the country and stuff like that. So I just said, yeah, Arsenal. And that's how it all started, really.
Jesus Christ. How random is that?
He went to, there was a game at Highbury, I think it was in the it was 71 season. He went with one of his mates, because he used to be in the RAF. And he went with one of his mates, and I think it was like 2 games before the end of the season, and Arsenal won this really important game at home in the 71 season when they won the double. And they came out afterwards, and my dad said to his mate, "Yeah, Arsenal's going to win the league." He said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "No, you watch, they're going to win the league." And they did. And he always liked the Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? And then I think he was quite happy when I said Arsenal. That's what. But yeah, so international football, I like it, and I used to go a lot of the England games at Wembley, because I used to like it was. Back in the day, you wouldn't have a lot of foreign players in English football, and I used to like seeing some of these like top international players playing, just to have the experience of watching them. So yeah, but I'm not fussed about it, to be honest. I've got a similar attitude about it to Jez, and because of the amount of times that Scotland's let us down as well. It just gets a bit depressing after a while, especially in the recent years, how poor they've been as well.
I know what you mean. Look, we'll go to the next slide. Juventus, after that. 1-0 winners, European Cup, semi-final, second leg, into the final. 88 minutes. Jesus. Can you recall anything there?
I can only recall from watching it on the telly, Paul Vasson scoring the goal. Wasn't a great game. Arsenal, in fairness, in my personal belief, controlled their midfield. I mean, again, it was one of these games where Juventus were like trying to kick the crap out of players, and they were trying to intimidate the whole team. But Arsenal stood up to it, and they gave a bit of it back. But Paul Vasson got the goal, and away they went to Heysel Stadium. for the final against Valencia.
Exactly. I remember, I don't remember seeing the game on TV, but there was this program in the UK, Del Boy, called, I think it was called Midweek Sports Special or something, and they had about 10 minutes worth of highlights on at the end of the program of this. And I remember the ball coming over, being crossed in, and Paul Vasson went up with a header to score. And as Jez said earlier, Arsenal became the first British team to beat Juventus on their own pitch. Never ever happened before by anyone. So it's a huge achievement for Arsenal to go out there and win. It shouldn't be understated how big a thing that was. It was a massive fucking thing. It's a huge thing for Arsenal to go out there and win against Juventus. Because they were a massive club, and make no mistake, they were a massive club at the time, weren't they, Jez?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, you're quite correct in what your comment was there. It wasn't live. It was a highlight game. We didn't get that sort of live TV of these competitions back then. But it was a massive, massive achievement, you know, for a British team to go to Juve and win on their home turf. It was quite extraordinary, really. But as I remember it from the highlights of the game, Arsenal just shut them down, absolutely shut them down. They were getting lumps kicked out of them, as it was with Italian football in them days. But, you know, fair play to Juventus. After the game, the fans and the players gave Arsenal massive respect for what they achieved, and well done to Arsenal for getting through to the final.
Was it like, I suppose, like, you can even see there from the crowds, let's say on the left hand corner of that screen, like, you know, that, my God, there must have been a serious amount of people at the game.
Yeah, I think their ground held around, if I remember rightly, I could be totally wrong in saying this, I think they held around 65,000 back then.
Jesus. So we'll go to the next slide, anyway. So that was the team there. Geez, like at this stage, like, you know, this stage of the season, these players must be gassed.
I think they were knackered. I seriously think, and that was proven in the final against Valencia, that let's get it right. I mean, in that game at the Heysel Stadium, Arsenal gave a great performance. But we'll come on to that in a little bit, I'm sure. But again, it's pretty much the same team that he's playing all the way through. Paul Vasson came on as a sub, I think, for Sunderland. I'm not sure, I can't remember. But he got the winner and Arsenal moved on. So it was a tough ask for Arsenal to go there and get that win. So you have to give the Terry Neal and the team the utmost respect for what they achieved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Warren, you want to say anything there?
No, I just said it all, mate. It was superb achievement. And yeah, I just agree with everything you just said, really. I mean, it was it's one of Arsenal's finest achievements in Europe. Because let's be fair, we haven't had many great achievements in Europe.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We might have a season, if we get top four, who knows? You know, with for Mikel Arteta and the underwhelming signings he will make, you never know.
You never know. You never know. This time next year, we could be champagne on ice, cigars everywhere.
Exactly. And as your hero is fondly remembered for saying, this time next year we'll be millionaires, Dad.
Come on, brothers. We go to the next.
Right. Do you want me to move on, Dale?
Yeah, go for it, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, heartbreak. Heartbreak. Warren, do you want to bring us in here? What happened?
Well, the game, I remember David O'Leary was absolutely outstanding in this game. Right, he was marking Mario Kempes, and at the time, Mario Kempes was probably, if not one of the greatest strikers in the game. He was an Argentinian striker. 2 years before, he'd won the World Cup with Argentina on home soil, and David O'Leary just marked him out of the game. He didn't get a kick all night, and we should have won it. I watched the game around my mate's house, and we should have won it. We should have done. And the penalty shootout came. Liam Brady took Arsenal's first penalty. I think there's actually a slide about it. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. There's the result of the penalty shootout. Liam Brady took our first penalty, and he missed. He never missed a penalty, ever. And that night he did. And then it went, after the first 5 penalties, it was all level. And because Kempes missed as well, you can see. And then it went to a sudden death penalty shootout. And poor Graham Ricks missed his penalty. And he was absolutely devastated. And he was only a young lad at the time as well. He wasn't very old. And he was absolutely devastated. I remember him being in bits on the pitch. Terry Neal consoling him and stuff. So yeah, it was horrible, absolutely horrible.
Like, Jez, can you remember the penalties?
Oh, yeah, I do. When Brady walked up, I thought this is all day, good start. And when he got his spot kick stopped, I thought, oh dear, that's not great. Then Kempes got his saved by Jennings. So we're back to, even territory. But then we went through, and then Graham Ricks is one where he launches it over the bar. Deary God, that was it. Pretty much. We went into the next thing. They scored, game over, job done, we're out. And heartbreaking, really. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was horrible. It really was.
I suppose, look, it's European football. It's cup final. Like, the pressure that's on these players, it's unbelievable. And like, because it was a final that Brady missed his first penalty, and Ricks, they were sort of reliable as well. Like, just the pressure got to them.
I think they were tired. They've played, they're playing now their 71st game. So these guys are tired. And I may be wrong in saying this, but I still think this is the longest run of football games that any English football team has played in the season. I may be wrong, somebody will correct me, but back then it was unbelievable to play that amount of games. And they've been to 2 cup finals. They've lost, and let's not forget, after this game, and Warren will love this one, when we go up to Middlesbrough and get stuffed 5-0, and Warren's asked the question about the hatred for Arsenal at Middlesbrough, and I will come on to that in one of my streams. But Arsenal, basically, this game, they looked to me so tired, and I think they were just. It was the old classic. It was a game too far.
Yeah.
And when they went up to Middlesbrough, last game of the season, they were burnt. They were burnt out. It was a shame to see. And on the day, unfortunately, they just weren't good enough.
Warren, if you think they didn't have so many games, would they have won this final? Like, actually, without even going to penalties?
Definitely, and I reckon they would have won the FA Cup as well.
Mm.
I do, because I think in a minute, there's a slide, and it shows the amount of games that we played.
Let's go to it there. Do you want to just skip forward to... Yeah.
There it is. Look. Right, now, if you look at the difference in the dates, right, first game in April and May was the 2nd of April. The next game was the 5th. The next game was the 7th. The next game was the 9th. The next game was the 12th. And so it goes on. It's like maximum 3 or 4 days between games. Sometimes we were playing 3 or 4 games a week. It's crazy.
Wow. Like, even look at the caliber of the team we're playing. Like, you're playing Juventus, Liverpool, loads of Liverpool games, Juventus.
Got Spurs in there as well. That wouldn't have been an easy game because of the fact that they would have been so up for it. Not that they were any good, but they would have been really fired up. And then we got bloody Middlesbrough at the end. They can't stand us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you've got Valencia, Notts Forest. They weren't no mugs either. They've been like a couple of years before. They've been European champions, and they were managed by a fella from Middlesbrough who can't stand us either. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, we got how many games against Liverpool? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games against Liverpool. Because not only did we have the cup semi-finals against them, we had a league game in the midst of all that as well.
Jesus. That's just like it's a pity in the way, but like, is that the way football was back then? Like, or let's say the top teams, like, how many sort of games would they have played this season?
I think this is what I want to see. I want to have a see if I can find some record somewhere where it shows the record amount of games played in a season by clubs, because I want to see if Liverpool, when they were at their peak, like say in 77 when they nearly won the treble, whether they had to play this amount of games, or United when they won the treble in 99, whether they had to play this amount of games. Because it's like, how many games is there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9. I think it's about 17 games in the space of like about 6-7 weeks or something.
They played 42 league games. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they played basically another 19 cup games, which is unprecedented. So, with the small squad that they actually had, to achieve what they did achieve was quite something. Because could you imagine that today? Could you imagine Arteta in this day and age with his squad playing 71 games? He moaned about, he's moaned, let's get it right, he's moaned about playing 1 bleeding game a week. Well, Mr. Arteta, if you get top 4 next season, you'll be playing 2 to 3 games a week when the FA Cup and the League Cup comes in. Mm-hmm. How are you going to cope? How are you, as some of our fan base make out, he's the best young manager right? That's what they say. How's he going to cope?
See, this is what worries me about it, Jez. Our squad now, just for one league game a week, is paper thin, and we're struggling to be able to field a team. If we do get into the Champions League or the Europa League next year, how are we going to cope? We're not going to have enough players. The squad, we need, I'd say, about another 10 players.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To be able just to even to have bodies in the squad to be able to fill sides adequately. Otherwise, we're going to end up with players going off injured.
As we've had proven now. We're out Party, we're out Tierney. Tomiyasu has come back. Is he fully fit? I do not know. So it just proves the levels of what this Arsenal defence is. Arsenal squad is. That we don't have the depth, we don't have the ability, and all these fans, we'll get in the Champions League, we're going to attract this player, that player. Bollocks. Let's wait and see what Edu and Arteta do in the summer. This bullshit talk. Marquee signings. But we're looking at Rashford. Do me a favour. He'd be better off in bloody politics.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm sorry. And so Arsenal, we're looking again at rejects. Jesus from Man City. Rashford from Man United. Yeah? It's absolute pony. And all the time, this will go on with Arteta here. And we all know if he gets fourth, he'll get another contract and we'll be stuck with him for another 2, maybe 3 years. It's an absolute joke.
We've got Super Mikel Arteta. Fuck off. Fucking dickheads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there any other slides there, or can I go on my fucking rant now?
Well, here we go. This is it, right?
Yeah.
In the 1978-80 season, Arsenal played 71 games. The season started on the 11th of August 1979 with the FA Charity Shield and ended on the 19th of May 1980 at Middlesbrough. During the period between 2nd of April and the 19th of May 1980, Arsenal played 17 games. And during this period, they had their following gaps between games: 2 days on 6 occasions, 3 days on 5 occasions, 4 days on 3 occasions, and 5 days once. And the 5-day gap was the biggest gap they had between any of the games. It's crazy. If that was to happen now, the PFA would have an absolute fit. They'd go mental.
Even the fittest players of today, can you imagine the fitness levels back then to now? They fucking die, and how hard football was back then.
No, exactly.
It's wow. That's unbelievable. And do you know what? And it's trophies that Arsenal missed out on big time. As you says, the FA Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup. 4th in the league, but that's a trophy. We won a trophy that year. Well, was it, Jez? I'll come to you on this, mate. Was it down to Terry Neal's bad management? And the reason why I'm coming to you is because Fergie was the one who turned around and sort of said, right, we need to concentrate on European football, or we need to not concentrate and concentrate on the FA Cup. Should he have went down and just goes, right, if we play all these games, we play 71 games or whatever, should he have sort of concentrated on it? And I know your answer, but I'm just sort of being devil's advocate here.
No. At the end of the day, it's a totally different philosophy back then. And Arsenal wanted to compete at every level. Now, the fact of the matter with Terry Neal, was he had his direction. He just didn't have the depth in the squad. So, sadly, after Arsenal were booted out of the FA Cup after being in 3 FA Cups in 3 years, the fan base were disillusioned and they wanted him gone. Simple as. That was it. You know, back then, the FA Cup meant something. The fact they ended up 4th in the league and they got kicked out of the Cup Winners' Cup. And let's get it right, Arsenal have never been great in Europe. So I don't get it. All this big up. We're in the Champions League if we get there 4th this season. We're shit in Europe. We've only ever won 2 trophies. You know? So we're not a great team in Europe. We're not Liverpool. We're not Man United. We're not Chelsea. So forget all this absolute crap that we're going to get in Arteta and he's going to qualify us for the Champions League. And his statement, Arsenal will win the Champions League within 3 years. Well, sorry, mate. You've only got until November. Now, I don't know when the Champions League finishes, but I don't think it's next November. So, no. Anyway, getting back to your saying, Del. No, Arsenal went for everything. That was the philosophy back in the day. You play to win. And they tried it. It didn't come off. But I've got ultimate respect for the team. They tried their best. They gave it all. But towards the end of the season, they were done. They were knackered. I remember being at home games and away games in the league. And you could see they were so knackered. And you couldn't expect any more from that team. They'd played their hearts out. You know, I remember watching Pat Rice at the end of some of these games where he hadn't been substituted. He was damn near crawling off the pitch because he was that tired. And he was an absolute legend at this football club. So that's all I'm going to say.
See, and the other thing to bear in mind, Jez is 100% right. Everything he's just said. And the big difference between then and now is we didn't have players then who weren't prepared to give it all for the club. Brian Talbot, prime example, he would not stop running all day bloody long. I know I keep banging on about the fella, but he did. And all of them were like that. All of them gave everything for the badge, right? I mean, look at that squad now that we've got there now. That half of them wouldn't put in the effort that those players did. They just wouldn't. Granit Xhaka.
No chance.
Yeah, exactly. Because they cared about the club. They were proud to be wearing that badge.
I just wonder
now.
The reason why I just want to sort of give a little sort of insight of what I've learned. Okay, these guys that played them matches, they played 2 seasons in one. They are sort of unsung heroes in Arsenal's history because it seems to be Arsenal don't have a history before Wenger. Like in 1996, Arsenal was created, like, you know, to some people. And it's these types of season that Arsenal as a football club has been made. And I'm leaving the badge up there because that badge means everything to me as an Arsenal supporter. That's the badge that I support. I'll always support. The players that done this season, I think they need to be recognised because they played so many games and they gave so much. And what you said there, Warren, Brian Talbot, my God, how many games has he played this season? And these players are not as fit as the players nowadays, you know. And the players nowadays are playing with a light little plastic ball. The players back then were playing with a big, heavy leather ball, and completely different time, completely different pitches. The pitches would have been in bits, completely different era. But they need to be respected, and they need to have their their time in the limelight, and I'm gonna sort of we'll end up the let's say this is one of my last questions to you guys. I want to know from this season, okay? And this is a question that's just I'd find interesting, and I'll ask you first, Jez, okay? 2006 Arsenal versus Barcelona in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
Which one of these players out of the squad in the 1978 or 79-80 season would you put into that squad, or would you put in?
I can think of 3 players. David O'Leary, Liam Brady, and Frank Stapleton.
Wow. And who would you take them out for? Right, okay, I said squad, but in the first 11.
Who would I take out?
Yeah.
That's a tough question because
yeah,
I can't take anybody out, but I'd certainly have them 3 players in the squad.
Okay, that's fair. I'll go to you, Warren. Would you have any? Would Warren Talbot, or Brian Talbot, get in the?
Definitely be in it, mate. 100%. Him, David O'Leary, Pat Jennings. Jennings was better than Lehman, and I would take Lehman out of the team and put Jennings in it.
Good call.
Yeah. I was actually thinking that when you said 3, Jez, I says he's going to say Jennings because I know you like Jennings. I thought you were going to say him.
I'll be quite honest with you. I was purely thinking striker, midfield, defence. So I agree with Warren all day. Yeah.
No, that's fair.
I'll go with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't look. Come here. Well, I think we'll. That was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed that, Warren, for doing the slides, and Jez for your information into it. It's really educated me anyway. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm sure it has. And just looking into few of the comments here, people are just just saying, yeah, it's unbelievable. But Warren, I'll come to you, mate. What you have coming up on your channel, and give your channel a shout out, please.
Tomorrow I've got my match day live show. That's kicking off at 2:40 p.m. I'm planning to. I really want to see if I can either tomorrow night or Sunday. I want to do a show as well about where Arsenal are likely to finish in the league this season, and I'm hoping to be able to get Carl on for that. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be ready or not to do it by then. If not, it'll have to wait till Monday. But I really want to do it before the game kicks off on Sunday against West Ham. So that's what's going on with me.
That's great. And people, please do subscribe to Warren's Team Talks. He's been putting up the slides. He does it for all his shows. I couldn't do this stuff without Warren, so I really, really do appreciate it, Warren, mate. Jez, do you want to shout out your channel and what's coming up next, mate?
Yeah, the next one will probably be Monday. I'll get back into the part of where we finished off I did the one last night about Herbert Chapman. So, yeah, the channel's Arsenal, History and More. I'll probably do on Monday a match review of the Arsenal-West Ham game. And then I'll be doing the next stage of Arsenal's history, when we've gone now into the new century, the 20th century. So we'll see how Arsenal move on from there.
Yeah, that's great. Like, I think for next Friday, like, look, pending you guys are available and stuff like that, and whoever's available, like, you know, we'll I'd like to hit the 98 season.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to talk about that. Look, we'll sort it all out with Warren and Jez and stuff like that, and if Kenny's around as well or whoever, like, you know, we'll have a chat about it. But yeah, look, I've been delighted that you guys have taken part in this, the 79-80 season. It was a big season for me being an Arsenal supporter because I love talking about Liam Brady and the club that I manage my son's team. And there was one snippet of it in the newspaper in the corridor. Well, there's a few of them about Liam Brady. I'm going to take a few pictures and I'll actually send it to you guys. It was local newspapers, Irish newspapers, of when Liam Brady was spotted by Arsenal and stuff like that. And I'll send it over to you because I can guarantee you won't get it on the internet. I'll send them over to you guys. But yeah, I'd love to do that next week. Tomorrow, I've been very quiet tonight. I've been laid back, and that's because I'm listening to the two gentlemen underneath me educating about my club that I love so much. But tomorrow I'm gonna fucking wreck the gaff because there's a few things I want to talk about. And yeah, it's making me even angrier now. Like, you know, no offense, not because of you guys. It's just because of the history of the club and the way it is. But yeah, I think I'm going to drop a video, and I'll drop another one before the game on Sunday. And I'm going to do fan cams as well on Sunday after the game. So please, anyone who wants to join in, join in. Thanks a million to me two legends underneath me. Really couldn't do this without them. And big up to their channels, and please like and subscribe their channels and share their stuff. Like, as it says, Jez done this stuff about Chapman the other day. It was absolutely unbelievable. Go and check it out. Seriously. The only thing you're going to do is educate yourself. Whether you agree, disagree, or whatever, the only thing you're going to do is educate yourself. Warren done This Is Your Life with Dell on Tuesday night. Check it out. He also done a load of streams during the week, and he keeps banging the content out. Please like, share, subscribe, check his channel out as well. Thanks a million, everyone who's been putting in stuff into the comments. We can't do the channel without you guys either. It's been really good, and I really appreciate everyone that has taken part. Thanks a million. Enjoy your weekend. Take care. Arteta out.